Hi guys, my name is Trinity, and if you are here, you must be here to talk about books because that's why I'm here, to talk about books. And in today's video, certain books in particular, because the Shelf Space Discord has announced the Olympic Readathon, and my June TBR has been set. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, Trinity, why are you releasing your June TBR at the beginning of May? There is a big reason for this, because this video is also going to be a recommendation video. I am going to rapid fire recommendations to you so that if you want to participate in this readathon, you have choices, you have options, and you know some of them going into it. Makes it a little easier to participate, and I love giving recommendations. I do want to throw a small disclaimer out there. You're really gonna see my reading taste in this video. You're really gonna see a lot of my favorite authors in this video. I'm giving recommendations. I don't know what else to tell you. So, while I am a little biased in this video, it is only because I'm trying to show you guys books that I love, and I am going to try and throw young adults and adult out there at the same time. Most of these books are going to be fantasy, but the reason for that is because this is a readathon. If you tackle nothing but chunker books for a readathon, if you tackle nothing but adult fantasy for a readathon, you might be a little bogged down and you might not be able to read so many books. So I want to make sure that I give young adult and adult, and that I throw some shorter books in with the longer book recommendations that I will be giving. All right, our first prompt is Zeus. Read a book with a kingdom or patriarchy. Now, for June, what I will be reading is Shadow of Self by Brandon Sanderson. This is the second book in the second era Mistborn, and I am going to tell you that any Brandon Sanderson will fit in this slot. Kingdom or patriarchy, that's kind of Sando's thing, so you could pick any Brandon Sanderson book and put it here. Now for some rapid fire recommendations. Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. How about Zeus himself and Circe? Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. And An Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir. The next prompt is going to be Posiedon, and that is a book set on or near water. The book that I have chosen for this prompt is All the Tides of Fate by Adeline Grace. This is the second book in the All the Stars and Teeth. I do believe it's going to be a trilogy, but I have been dying to get to this one. Look how pretty it is. So pretty. So this could fit your pretty book prompt if you want to, or All the Stars and Teeth could fit your pretty book prompt, or this prompt. But I'm very excited to get to the second book in this series, and I love the magic system in this. It's so good. I love the main character, and very, very excited to add this to my readathon. The rapid fire recommendations now. The Waking Fire by Anthony Ryan, the Draconis Memoria trilogy, which happens to be my favorite. Live Ship Traders by Robin Habb. The Bone Ships by R.J. Barker. And Into the Drowning Deep by Mara Grant, also known as Shannon Maguire. So the next prompt is the next of the big three in Hades, and that would be a book with ghosts or undead as central themes to the book. The book that I chose is the 12 Dancing Princesses retelling and House of Salt and Sorrows. I have been excited to get to this book for quite some time, so happy to add it to my June TBR. Now for this rapid fire prompt, I'm going to recommend Elantris by Brandon Sanderson, Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, The Drowning Kind by Jennifer McMahon, and Storm and Fury by Jennifer L. Armentrout. The next prompt would be Hestia, and that would be books with a found family. I will be reading European Travel for the Monstrous Gentlewoman by Theodora Goss. It is super thick. However, this is the second book in Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter trilogy, I believe. And I'm very, very excited to get to this. If you guys don't know, these are cheeky, fun reads, and I'm so down for this. This one could also fit your traveling adventure prompt, but I chose this for found family because I really love the found family here. Now for the rapid fire, you guys know I couldn't pass up a found family trope without mentioning Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, No Feck Gloss by Essa Hansen, The Wayfarers series by Becky Chambers, and City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. Next we have Hephaestus, and Hephaestus is going to obviously be books with fire. So I chose Fireborn by Rosaria Munda. You guys have heard Elliot Brooks talk about this book for so long that I feel like I don't even need to talk about it. But this could also fit your political fantasy if you wanted to add that to your political fantasy. Also, first book in a series. Rapid fire recommendation, The Fireman by Joe Hill. Also a chonker, so be aware. Medalon by Jennifer Fallon. With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. The Fire Sermon by Francesca Haig. Next we have Dionysus, and Dionysus prompt is a red or white cover. And for that, I chose Axiom's End by Lindsay Ellis. And I'm very excited to get to this. This is a sci-fi novel, and Lindsay Ellis is a YouTuber, so I'm going to actually fit this into my Pop Sugar challenge. Now, I do recognize my copy is not red. However, there is a red copy and a white copy of this particular book, and that would be Traitor's Blade by Sebastian de Castile. Other books to add would be Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, Scythe by Neil Stevenson, and The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Hestia. The Wrath and the Dawn is enemies to lovers, so if it's a trope that you're looking for, there you go. The next prompt is going to be Hermes, and a book involving traveling or a quest. I chose The Vagrant by Peter Newman. This is a book that I had been recommended on Twitter and I have been wanting to get to. I'm very, very excited for it. It is definitely a traveling story, hence the name. So I'm very, very excited to get to this. Now these do fall under quest traveling stories, but they also fit a lot of other prompts, and I'm not going to get into what are the other prompts that they fit, but just know these fit this prompt. Rapid fire recommendation, The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor, Graceling by Kristen Cashore, and The Thief by Megan Whalen Turner. The next prompt would be Artemis, and that would be a book with moon or night in the title or cover. And I have a little bit of a cheeky one for this one, but the book that I am going to be reading is The Forgetting Moon by Brian Lee Durfee. Now this is a thick, thick boy. Oh, he's got a smudge. And it is probably going to take me a little while to get through this one. However, I have heard once you get into it, it moves really fast and you don't have to worry too much about pacing. And I really want to read this, so I couldn't pass this one up, even though it's a chunker. And the prompt is Artemis. So I'm going to recommend Artemis by Andy Weir. There's a moon on it. I love this book, guys. And I'm also going to recommend two series to you that I have no intention of reading. Well, I've read one of the books, but I'm never going to read them, but these can fit the prompt for you, and that would be Gardens of the Moon by Stephen Erickson, Eye of the World by Robert Jordan, and then an urban fantasy pick if you are into that, and that would be A Moon Called by Patricia Briggs. The next prompt would be Apollo and non-traditional format. I am choosing to go with novella. So, Perfect Shadow by Brent Weeks. This is the prequel to the Night Angel trilogy. And this is Durzo Blint. If you guys need some more Durzo in your life, then you can pick this one up. However, other novellas that you can tackle would be Ring Shout by P. Jelly Clark, Pilgrimage of Swords by Anthony Ryan, The Empress of Salt and Fortune by Ning Vo, and Every Heart a Doorway by Shannon McGuire. The next prompt would be Ares, God of War. So we are looking for military fantasy or sci-fi, and I was glad that they added sci-fi onto that because I chose The Empress Game by Rhonda Mason. I have been dying to read this since I saw a review of it on Twitter, and it sounds like it's going to be so good. Rachel Bach blurbed this, and I'm actually excited to read her book as well. But this is about a girl who, they have the Empress Games. They have a contest to see who is going to become the next empress, and this is very military heavy, so I'm very much looking forward to it. Now, as you guys know, military fantasy is a big thing for me. I really like it, and so I've got some good recommendations here for you. You could add Traitor's Blade to this, by the way, but The Black Company by Glenn Cook, His Majesty's Dragon by Naomi Novik, The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang, and you weren't going to get through this video without me mentioning this book, Blood Song by Anthony Ryan. All right, if we have drastically shifted, I do apologize. I knocked my camera over. Rips. The next prompt would be Aphrodite, and that would be a book with a beautiful cover. The book I chose is City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. I've talked about that book a couple of times recently, so we'll leave it at that. My rapid fire recommendations would be The 10,000 Doors of January. If you like Erin Morgenstern, you'll probably like this book. Not my cup of tea, but I've heard they're very similar. An Unkindness of Magicians by Kat Howard. 6 Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lynn. And To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini. I can't find my copy. I don't know what I did with it. I think it's probably in the living room and I'm just not venturing in there to go look for it. Okay, our next prompt is Hera, the Queen herself. So this is a book with a queendom. I will be reading Queen of Hearts by Colleen Oakes, and Obviously, this is Alice in Wonderland retelling and focusing on the Queen of Hearts. But I chose this because it's short and I needed some short books to add to the stack. Rapid fire recommendation would be Queen of the Tierling by Erica Johnson, The Queen of Blood by Sarah Beth Durst, which I'll be reading this month, Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon, that is a chonker, so be careful, and Rebel Queen by Michelle Moran, which is a historical fiction, not fantasy. The next prompt would be Demeter, and that would be books with food on the cover. This seems to be the hardest prompt for anybody in all of in all of the Shelf Space Discord. Like, we are all like, what? We're all fantasy readers. How are we supposed to fill this prompt? A Snow White retelling. Note the apple in her hand. I will be reading Nameless. This was on my TBR 10, and it's a book that I didn't get around to reading, and so I am very excited to add this to June's TBR. Now for this, I only have 2 other recommendations that I could think of with food on the cover. One would be The Secret Life of Bees by Sue Monk Kidd. We have honey on the cover. And then the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix, which I adore this book. So there you go. I keep trying to knock over my camera, guys, sorry. So the next prompt would be Athena, books with political intrigue. Speaking my language yet again. Now, I originally had a different book, and I will mention that book, but in talking to the Shelf Space Discord, we kind of landed on a buddy read of the Long Price Quartet. So Shadow in Summer by Daniel Abraham. And I'm very excited to read this. And it's so much shorter than the book I had originally picked, so yay. But the book I had originally picked for this prompt would be A Declaration of the Rights of Magicians by H.G. Perry. The other rapid fire recommendations, Age of Assassins by R.J. Barker. I'll be reading that this month. Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. And The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. There's my baby copy again. Okay, so for the next 2 prompts, I actually forgot who the gods were for this. One is Eos, and I forgot the other. But for the next 2, one is the first in a series, and one is the final book in a series. And I am going to finally read a David Dalglish book, and that would be Soul Keeper. Now, you guys know that I have had a huge issue with buying David Dalglish books and then never reading them. So this is the 3rd series I own by him that I have not read. But Petrick talks very highly about this series, so I want to go ahead and start here. It might be a bad idea to start with the best, but who knows, you know? I think I will like these though. And of course, you all probably know what book I'm gonna pick for the final book in a series. Yes, I'm moving it to my June TBR, but I'm still mad about Ruin. So I'm not even angry that this is getting pushed back. That is it for today's video. Like, subscribe, do all the fun things, and hey, click the link down in my description box and join us for our readathon. Bye!